Good afternoon and good evening whenever and wherever you are. And welcome back to the Beta Plan. As we find ourselves once again within Vampire The Masquerade. And this time, within the final nights. Indeed, the word Bloodlines has been removed from title by the modern team, Team Camarilla International, because they thought it was no longer appropriate after their numerous modifications. To me, I find it a little odd because, to be frank, some of the clans that they now allow you to play are very obscure and sometimes even skip the line of when something is a bloodline. The fact now that there is a split within a clan that has, due to whatever event, an alternative weakness or discipline or combinations even of that. But to find out about all that, well, all we can do is start a new game. So, because the clans are rather obscure, they have actually added this little possibility to learn more about the clans introduced in the final nights. But before we start hitting that option, look at the art and listen to the music. It sets the mood just right. And I already know that I am going to be in love with this mod, even if I have already a suggestion. But this is amazing. So what are the clans that you can choose from if indeed you want to call them clans? The Assamites, who we know of from my series in Vampire The Masquerade Redemption, because we were betrayed by one. The followers of Set we have battled, and who I actually would have enjoyed playing as, but unfortunately, and here was one of my suggestions, you can only play as the warrior caste, and the warrior caste, well, they have decided to not learn the discipline of obfuscate but of potence, which means a lot of fighting, where I would have rather been the snake in the darkness instead of the horned viper. And unfortunately, there's no way to choose that in history. What I all mean by that I will show you in a moment, but that is something I did note. Besides these two, there are the Ishtari, who, just like the followers of Seth, claim lineage from a god. I think this is a Babylonian god, if I'm right. Then we have the Osebo. I would consider them the more brutal Borgia fighters who have problems controlling their beast, and well, they need some guidance before they slip into it. The Salubri, who try to fight their inner urges with great disciplines, and is sort of very interesting indeed, but well, not our choice, for a different matter. And the Samini, who are, well, what I would consider almost a bloodline of the Giovanni. I do indeed agree, it is somewhat of a grey area. So what happens if you click on one of them? Well, you get all this lovely information, but, well, as you may have noticed, I actually kind of skipped one, because we're going to play as the Bali. The history of the Bali begins thousands of years ago, when Salut raising his first child. His name was Sayatan, and was a philosopher like Salut. Though dark and brooding in contrast to Salut's optimism and hope. Shaitan had been embraced for much the same reason Eno had given Salut eternal life. He desired someone to talk to, a companion for the endless nights. The differing attitudes sparked many heated debates, some of which ended with the loser, unable to counter a particular philosophical ideal, stalking off into the night in a frenzy. Both were highly intelligent and, more importantly, very stubborn. However, Shaitan's constant fault-finding with the universe began to gnaw away at Salut's revolt. While Salut felt that vampirism was a curse, Shaitan felt it was a gift and opportunity. Shaitan believed that the only reason God cursed Cain was because he was afraid of him. His as he was the first to ever dare challenge him. Shaitan reasoned that he would not calmly accept his curse like a docile cow as Salt and the others had done. If he was to be cursed, then he wouldn't earn that curse, using all the powers that had foolishly been given along with it. He would exact his vengeance upon God. The Bali feel that they have been wronged by God. Cain was a brilliant man and therefore a threat to God, so he removed the threat by cursing him with vampirism. Therefore, they consider themselves to be God's enemies. This does not mean that they consider themselves evil. Rather, they have been unfairly persecuted over the years, and now they will accept their revenge. They feel that God started this war a millennium ago, and the Bali associates with the forces of darkness under the principle that the enemy of my enemy is my ally. They are favored children of the forces of darkness, the vanguard of the Gehenna. And there is a big difference with our playthrough with the Anticrimo mod, because we were indeed a La Sombra, one that also embraces darkness, but in a different way. And we were no vanguards of Gehenna. The Bali, they see it as their job to make the world suitable for occupation by their demonic masters, turning it into a global carnal house. By the proper use of rituals and manipulation, they intend to increase the suffering in a given area. Once an area is prepared, they assume occupation by lesser spirits as banes. As greater and greater heights of miseries are reached, more and more evil is drawn into that place until the pain of the entire populace can be offered up to the masses as a sacrifice. At this point, the Bali believe that Shaitan will rise up and bring Baal into this world, where he will enslave mankind, while the Bali will be Earth's new masters. Bali only embrace those who are intelligent, dread, and completely callous. They have usually been corrupted by the Bali long before the embrace is given. All have had some interest in the occult during their lives, usually the darker side of it, and all are practitioners after the embrace. All Bali have at least two identities, if not more. They usually pose as upstanding members of either the Camarilla, Sabbat, or both, depending on who controls the city. More often than not, they pose as Tremere, and as almost all Tremere descendant from Salud, their blood is almost indistinguishable. Only extremely high level of Taumaturgy, generally around the 5th or 6th level, can recognize the blood as not their own. Whatever sect they belong to, however, the Bali are united in their cause. Their eventual goal is to turn both the Camarilla and the Sabbat to their infernal masters. And if that doesn't work, to destroy them. Indeed, many Sabbat-Camarilla conflicts can be attributed to the machinations of Bali on both sides, destroying those who oppose them while garnering great influence and power. After all, power is the name of the game. Now, to come back to your question, I am sure you have, Neonate. The fact of the matter is that the Tremere are usurpers, and that their for lack of better words, founding father of their clan, well, he Diablo raised Salute. Salute being the antediluvian father of the Salubri, and ours, as we come from Shaitan, his first children. Hence the Tremere, the Salubri, and us are very closely interconnected. So why are we going with the Bali? Well, the Bali are exactly what I would like to play as, more or less. We played as Christoph warrior because, well, we started in the Middle Ages and I kinda was forced to use sword and shield. And I never made the step over towards those new fangy modern weapons. But we were a vampire, a warrior vampire, fighting for redemption. As Michaelus de la Sombra, we took to the Sabbat instead of playing nice with the prince as Christoph tried to do. And as such, we joined the Sabbat. And as power grew within inside ourselves, so did grow the beast in our thirst for it. Our dark powers fueling both our skills of domination, just taking over the enemy's minds, or simply brutal force. Bali, however, cold, cruel, and callous, and utterly evil, are the boogeymen that other kindred tell their children about to scare them. The line originated in Mesopotamia and is generally thought to have been eradicated centuries ago by a coalition of the other clans who couldn't stomach the Bali's depraved practices. Bali are devil worshippers and only embrace the most intelligent, driven, and callous of the kind. But they are not senseless killers. Rather, they are the gentle corrupter who tempts mankind. They nurture friendship with kindred and kind alike, often going out of their way to help others. They commit selfless deeds, shy away from brutality, and advocate peace, but all with a goal of eventual corruption. The Bali schemes are unperceivable because of their ability to adapt to any situation. Because of this, they get a +1 experience bonus whenever 3 experience or more is gained. But due to their black hearts, suffer a penalty to humanity and cannot raise it past 6. Moreover, though it is not stated here, it is stated in the manual, and yes indeed this mod comes with a manual, we cannot raise our humanity by dancing the night away like Michaelis did. No. Moreover, the final nights is quite brutal that if my humanity should ever drop to 3 or lower, even witnessing that an innocent would indirectly be influenced by our actions and die because of it, the beast grows ever stronger and we lose our humanity all the more. So this is a hefty penalty, but with also a very strong bonus. Well, if the Bali are indeed only embracing cold, cruel, calculous men and women and are utterly evil, then we don't need to make that oh so difficult trip that Michaelis did. We start out evil, and we stay evil. After all, it is just a word to describe the people that at least dare and use the power given to them. Now, what better person can do that than a maleficent magnate? You always had a mind for business, not for the greater good, but for personal gain. Riches, money, and power were your bread and butter, and you'd manipulated the books to create a false honeypot for investors. You were crooked, shrewd, and efficient, and so when the demon gods began speaking to you with an offer of even greater wealth, you listened. Creating a summoning chamber in the back of your office, you sold your soul for a kingpin position amongst the fat cats of Wall Street. These supernatural beings introduced you to a woman who would grant you an eternal amount of opulence for the ultimate exchange of blood, which is how your story begins. Your power over the misaligned underdog must be consolidated if you wish to exist in these final nights. And of course, being a businessman, a philosopher, what have you not, I have taken the vampire name of Agrippa. So what are we going to do? Well, we've gained a bonus to haggle, because I had been told when I was playing Vampire The Masquerade with the anti-tribu mod that it was quite difficult to feed within the final nights. However, I've also read that there have been some adjustments to some skills, and seduction plus haggle can make the, well, blood dolls that walk around and that need to be paid for so cheap. That is just criminal. Moreover, I know that we will no longer find skill books, we will need to buy them, so actually haggle has become quite a bit of a power. Besides, as I said before, I would have loved to play it as a, well, follower of Set, using my Serpentis, changing into a Viper and striking from the shadows with Upscavate. But, unlike the here what we chose as Maleficent Magnet, we cannot choose to actually be of the visor side of the said followers of Set. We always start as a warrior cast, and thus we have potence. I do not want to create a new warrior. I want to create a more sly character. As such, we are gonna go with presence at first, not even with our unique skill. Sorry, discipline. And why would that be? Well, this unique skill is awesome as it is. Well, we will use it later. And with great joy. You see, Daimonon allows me to, well, get extra nourishes from bums, for instance, and hookers. Love it. And those who have sinned. It will also give me, well, rest for the wicked, causing people to fall into a sleep. You know what that means. Free meals. We can then conflagrate calls flaming jets of fire, aggravating the kine, and well, we can actually call upon, in the end, a demon to house within sight of us. Any damage we suffer will first go to the demon. Besides that, we gain a +2 strength bonus, as well as adding aggravated fire damage to all unarmed attacks. We fought with Blade as Kristoff, and we actually also fought in melee skills with Michaelis. Oh, but not with Agrippa. We're gonna go toe to toe, claw to claw. In the end, unarmed. But if Daimonon is used against Men of the Fate, well, they have defense against this discipline. So we need a different way to fight the kine. Well, that means that we are gonna use firearms. Something we also haven't used yet. Moreover, I've also heard that perception is actually quite good, because some of the better items are quite hidden away. We will take scholarship for the research and persuasion. We'll take subterfuge for the seduction. We will take manipulation for haggle and intimidate, and all of a sudden, with the exception of intimidate, but wait, look at haggle, all our mental stats are on the average of 3. With presence increased, well, for now that doesn't help us yet. But the next step is gonna be awesome, because grants a +1 intimidation and seduction in dialogue. No blood required. Yes. And if we get that to the maximum, it's gonna be 3 intimidate and 3 seduction and +2 persuasion in dialogue. Just passively from having presence. We are the slyest dog around. And you don't want us to talk to you. Because if we do, well, that means we've got some bad plans in store for you. Let us start.
I want to show you something.
Good evening. My fellow kindred, my apologies for disrupting any business or interfering with prior engagements you may have had this evening. It's unfortunate that the affair that gathers us together tonight is a troubling one. We are here because the laws that bind our society, the laws that are the fabric of our existence, have been broken. As Prince, I am within my rights to grant or deny the kindred of this city the privilege of siring. Many of you have come to me seeking permission, and I have endorsed some of these requests. However, the accused that sits before you tonight was not refused permission. Indeed, my permission was never sought at all. They were caught shortly after the embrace of this child. It pains me to announce the sentence, as up to tonight I considered the accused a loyal and upstanding member of our organization. But as some of you may know, the penalty for this transgression is death. Know that I am no more adjudicator than I am a servant to the law that governs us all. Let tonight's proceedings serve as a reminder to our community that we must adhere to the code that binds our society, lest we endanger all of our blood. Forgive me. Let the penalty commence. Which leads to the fate of the ill-begotten progeny. Without a sire, most children are doomed to walk the earth never knowing their place, their responsibility, and most importantly, the laws they must obey. Therefore, I have decided that
This is bullshit!
I must say the new attendee interests me.
if Mr. Rodriguez would let me finish, I have decided to let this kindred live. They shall be instructed in the ways of our kind and be granted the same rights. Let no one say I am unsympathetic to the plights and causes of this community. I thank you all for attending these proceedings, and I hope their significance is not lost. Good evening. Your sire, tragic, my apologies. But you see, there is a strict code of conduct that all of us must adhere to if we wish to survive. When anyone breaks these laws, they undermine the well-worn fabric of our centuries-old society. Understand my predicament. Allowing you to live makes me directly responsible for your subsequent behavior. So, what I'm offering is not generosity, but the opportunity to transcend the fate woven by your sire. This is your trial. You will be brought to Santa Monica. There you will meet an agent by the name of Mercurio. He will provide the details of your labor. I've shown you great clemency. Prove it was more than a wasted gesture, fledgling. Don't come back until you do. Good evening.
Yes, indeed. From the vanilla intro, I noticed one new attendee, but for the rest it has remained the same. But they did not realize their mistake. They let one of the barley live. Time to suck up to the prince. Time to suck up to anyone. And prepare this world for the final night. I say I thank you for watching, and remember, great peril yields great beauty.